Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hunter White, and today we're just starting off the first video in my new series called Write With Me. Basically, we're just going to be going over some of the basic things about the series. We'll go over the topic I chose for this first short story and what I've learned so far about it. So, I recently watched a video from the self-publishing channel on YouTube, and I went over the video how to write a good short story. And the first step in that is to know your character. So I went online, looked up, well, I guess the first thing is the topic for the short story is on fairies. So I went online, looked for a good picture of a fairy. So here's our main character for the first short story, and the color her in. Once we get to know a little bit more about who she is as a character in the story. But for now, I just did some research on fairies. So I'll be putting the YouTube channel I used and the video name I used for the How to Write a Good Short Story in the description down below. I'll also put the site that I use to get info on fairies down below in the description as well. But a few things that I found out about fairies that we're going to go off of in the story. They really enjoy music and dancing. They find beauty in art and joy. They can control nature. They have extreme emotions, and so some of the emotions can cause lakes to form, rivers to form, forests, new seasons to come into play. They're dreamlike beings. And one of the things that I found out that I definitely want to use in the short story is that people would visit the fairies and their kin during near-death experiences or at other similar times. So where I want to take the story is having a specific number of fairies in the story dedicated to helping out the humans in these hard times. And so maybe I'll have like a human enter a near-death experience, enter an unconscious state, and the fairies can visit the human in their unconscious state, help them out or get them in the right direction of things. I find that kind of an interesting way of taking the story. We'll see how that goes. But another interesting thing I found about this is that fairies are the lords of liminal states. What this means is that they're there during like the transitioning times between two different things. So like when a person is in a period of time from childhood to adulthood, the transition between these two states is the liminal state, which is where the fairies will be. Another thing is between war and peace, or in our case, between life and death. I find that to be an interesting thing, is to take the story in that aspect of life and death between those two between the liminal states of life and death, as I find it an interesting thing to maybe do some research on, interesting way of taking the story. So I'm reading off my notes, which I'm looking down, but they are also dependent on humans, which is an interesting way of taking it, because in this case, the human would be dependent on the fairies, but at the same time, the fairies could be dependent on the humans. I read that sometimes that they need human food or food made by human hands to survive. So this could be kind of like a trade-off, like helping the human in the near-death experience and getting the human food. But another thing is that fairies can change their appearance at will. I know a lot of times we think of fairies as like these 2 or 3 inch figures with wings that can fly around, or at least that's what I kind of think about them at times. But they can like change their appearance to that of a human, or like an animal, or even like a non-living thing, such as, say, like a cup, or like a tree. A tree is living, but like a tree or anything in nature too. And so there's a lot of ways that we could take this story on fairies. And so my idea for this series is to go through the steps of writing a good short story that I found on YouTube, and going through them with y'all on YouTube, and people can help me take the story in one way or a different way. So I'll start the story on the Google Doc. I will share the link for the Google Doc on my channel, probably in the description down below. I'll have everyone can have commenting rights, and we can see where this short story goes. But for now, that's about all we have. The first step being knowing your character. This is about every other week, every other Thursday is when I'll have a series update. And step 2, which we'll cover more in depth next time after reviewing our character more. Next step is making an outline of the story. So we'll be doing both those things next time, which might mean a little bit of a longer episode or video. But for now, I'll put everything I have onto a Google Doc. I'll share that Google Doc with everyone, and we'll see how things go. But for now, things that we have. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.